Now I know what you're thinking. Hey Vic, is this going to be another awesome episode? Is it going to be better than the last episode? Well, I'll answer those questions by saying, yeah, buddy! Welcome to this edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Well, do you like this polo? It's the second of 5 tops I'm wearing in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Let me let you look at the back of it. Now, I'll say it again. Women are commonly diagnosed with breast cancer, but men can and have been diagnosed with it too. So if there's something not right about you, please get checked out. Now, before I go on, there was a little error that I made. Now, those comics that were featured in the season premiere, which came out earlier this week, I actually bought those comics last week, but I was busy with work and family matters, so charged it to my head, not to my heart. All right. Now, there's only one question that needs to be asked. What's going on? Now, I'm only going to talk about one thing, but this story is going to speak volumes. Alright, by now you've heard of Devon Still, who plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, his 4-year-old daughter, Leah, over the summer was diagnosed with a type of cancer called neuroblastoma. Now, the Bengals, now this is a very good gesture by the Bengals organization. They decided no matter what, that they were going to keep Still on the Bengals roster. And so he'll be able to keep his health insurance. And they have also sold replica jerseys to help pay for treatment. Now, it doesn't stop there. Now, this past Sunday, the Bengals played the New England Patriots in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And on the video board at Gillette Stadium during a TV timeout, was a commercial that featured Devon's 4-year-old daughter, Leah, and some other children who are also battling cancer. And it's also a song that's sung by both Cyndi Lauper and Sarah Bareilles. It didn't stop there either. The New England Patriots cheerleaders, during a dance routine, wore Devon Still replica jerseys while on the field to pay tribute to his 4-year-old daughter, Leah. But it doesn't stop there either. Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, has announced that he'll donate $25,000 to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital. I love that. I love just about everything about this story. So Devon and Leah, if you're watching this, I've had folks who were family members who were diagnosed with breast cancer, and all of them beat it. So that being said, Leah, I know you're going to beat this, and Devon, you hold on to your daughter. You let her know that it's going to be okay, and she is going to beat this. And also, and I'm going to make a contribution as well. Sometime in the next few weeks or the next month, now I'm saying this. Now I've been a lifelong Saints fan, and along the way there have been other teams that I like in addition to the Saints. Those teams are the Cowboys, Falcons, Ravens, and Broncos. But this time, and I'm not going to be a fair weather fan. I am going to announce myself to also be a Cincinnati Bengals fan. And in the next month, I'm going to go online and buy a Devon Still Cincinnati Bengals jersey. And right after I order it, once it comes in, I will wear it the episode after it comes in. So I'm making myself a Cincinnati Bengals fan as well. All right. That does it for what's going on. Up next is Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, now as promised, I'm going to talk about the Edge of Spider-Verse number 4. Now, in the Edge of Spider-Verse number 4, this isn't exactly Peter Parker. The teenager that's actually in it, was in this book, his name is Patton Parnell. And he is like Peter Parker, though, he is he is a budding scientist. He is like the school genius and and the school nerd and everything, but he has a twisted way of dealing with things, and it's pretty much because he got bullied to the point where it just broke him. Now Peter Parker, he got bullied, but he didn't let it break him. This kid ends up using test subjects first out of insects and small animals, but then he wants to use test subjects out of actual human beings. And so one day he and his class went on a field trip to some scientific lab, some science lab, and he and his next door neighbor, who happens to be a girl named Sarah Jane, of course, in the Marvel universe we know, that's Mary Jane Watson. Well, she pretty much uses him and says, "Come on, let's go off in this lab and get rid of all and free all these animals." So they're freeing all the animals, and then all of a sudden, Patton Parnell, I'm quite sure he's no relation to Chris Parnell, he ends up going into the he ends up finding a jar that contains the spider in it. He lets the spider out, but the spider bites him, and he gets powers similar to Peter, but they're a lot more. But he also becomes a half man, half spider, and he basically eats everybody, including Sarah Jane. But the first person he ate, well, he didn't eat Sarah Jane, but he infected her. And then at the very end of Avengers Spider-Verse #4, spiders come out of her and eat her alive. Oh, and Patton ends up eating the school bully. Who knew? Oh, but don't worry, we're not going to see him in Spider-Verse, because one of the villains that all the Spider-Man are actually going up against, which is Morlun, who is a classic Spider-Man villain, ends up coming and eats Patton Parnell alive. So no Patton Parnell. Good, because that's a Patton Parnell that'll probably try to eat all the other Spider-Man, and we can't have that. All right, this year Marvel is celebrating their 75th anniversary. They first got started as Timely Comics back in 1939, and there were like 6 different ages that that Marvel has been in since that time. First was the Golden Age, which was from 1939 to 1959, and during that time we see the debut of Captain America, Namor the Submariner, the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, and Nick Fury. Then the next era is my favorite, although I don't have any books from this era, or do it. Well, anyway, it's called The Birth of the Marvel Universe, and it took place from 1960 to 1969. And during this time, we see the debuts of the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, the Incredible Hulk. I mean, I can just go on and on. And this is the age where the most important era of Marvel took place during this decade, the 60s. Alright, next is the Age of Expansion, which took place from 1970 through 1979. And that's where we see the debut of characters like Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, Iron Fist, Luke Cage back when he was Power Man. I mean, a lot of awesome things took place during this era. And then there's the 1980s, which is called Marvel's Main Event. Now, what it meant by main event was back in 1983 and 1984, there was a miniseries that took place called Secret Wars, and it was when they were actually fighting each other, but then they ended up fighting something even. They even teamed up and then fought something even bigger than themselves. And it was during this time that we also saw the debut of characters like She-Hulk, Kitty Pryde, Rogue, and Gambit. All right, and next is Marvel Reborn. This took place from 1990 through 1999, and it was during this time that Professor X became Onslaught, and he killed several characters in the Marvel universe. He killed the Fantastic Four. He killed the Avengers. And he even killed the Hulk. And Marvel, instead of letting them stay dead, they ended up doing this thing called Marvel Reborn, or Heroes Reborn rather, and pretty much ended the run of their previous books and started new volumes. And it lasted for a little over a year, but then they decided, okay, it's time for them to come home. So the Heroes Return story arc comes up, and then they have fresh new story arcs. It's not a retell. It was never. I mean, at this point, it's not a retelling. It's pretty much a continuation, picking up from when they left off. And that was around the time I started reading comics. Was when that took place. All right, and then finally, Marvel Knights to Marvel Now. Now this took place, started in 2000, and it's currently going on right now. One of the things that's going on is that Marvel Knights. Let me explain that first. Marvel Knights. There were certain characters who were considered Marvel Knights. I mean, it was Daredevil. It was Doctor Strange, the Punisher, Spiderman, and the Fantastic Four. They were considered the Marvel Knights, and they had their respective books, and there's just awesome runs on all of them. And then Marvel Now. This started taking place 2 years ago. It's where Marvel basically restarted all their canceled all their books and started off with new volumes. And it's not like they didn't do what DC did with their books with the New 52 back in 2011. What they did was that they started brand new story arcs and brand new directions for each character and each team. And so far, Marvel has not disappointed. I mean, certain characters aren't certain characters, like Steve Rogers. He isn't Captain America anymore because there was this villain named the Iron Nail who ended up not only sapping all the super soldier serum that was inside of him, but also caused him to age to the point where he's almost in his 80s or 90s. So now Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, is going to become the new Captain America, and I'm going to read that book. It's going to be called The All New Captain America. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Alright, first up is X-Men Avengers X-Men Axis #1. This is a miniseries that's taking place, to tell how this really got started is to go back to the Avengers versus X-Men miniseries back in 2012. As you all know, or for some of you who don't know, it was a fight over the Phoenix Force, and then all of a sudden, the Phoenix Force ended up, 5 of the X-Men got influenced by the Phoenix Force, and Cyclops eventually would absorb all the Phoenix Force, and he went mad and even killed Professor X. Now, after this miniseries, Professor X was buried right near the Xavier Institute. But then the Red Skull came and dug out Professor X's body and ate his brain. And now he has the telepathic powers of Professor X. He even formed a group of superpowered people called the XMen. And now he's become the Red Onslaught. And now the Avengers and the X-Men have to team up to stop him. Yeah, no. Red Onslaught. Like the original, like when Professor X was the original Onslaught wasn't bad enough 20 years ago. Alright, next up is Superman Wonder Woman #12. This is the the aftermath of the Superman Doom story arc, and they're both trying to come to terms to, with Wonder Woman's trying to help Superman come to terms with having the Doomsday virus inside of him, but then expunged from him. It's not going to be easy, considering it was it's good. It's not going to be easy, and Wonder Woman is not going to give up on Superman no matter what. Besides, they're in a relationship with each other. Next up is the Amazing Spider-Man #7. This is a tie-in to the Edge of Spider-Verse miniseries, and it guest stars the new Ms. Marvel. And if you look down here, this is I guess the British version of Spider-Man. And from what I've seen, there's a spider from all the different Spider-Mans from all the different Earths. I mean, there's at least, most of them are all from the U.S., but then there's some Spider-Men from different countries. Yeah. All right, up next is Avengers #36. This is a prequel to the upcoming Secret Wars miniseries that's coming out next year, and we ended up going a few months into the future, and lots changed about the Avengers. I mean, Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America. Thor no longer wields Mjolnir. He now uses old axe Yarnbjorn, and some of the other Avengers have gone through some changes. Even one of them is now a dad, and that character is Cannonball. Yeah, Cannonball, former member of the X-Men and former member of X-Force, and former New Mutant. Up next is Green Lantern #34. Now, what's been going on is that the New Guardians have been kidnapped, and it's up to the White Lantern Kyle Rayner to go after them. Now, Kyle Rayner is believed to be dead by the Green Lantern Corps, and at first Carol Ferris believed he was dead, but then she found out later that he was alive, and now they're in a relationship with each other. Young men, older women. And lastly is Amazing X-Men #11. This is a continuation with this called World War Wendigo, and it's the X-Men, the Amazing X-Men team up with Alpha Flight, and because a lot of people in Canada have ended up becoming Wendigos after they've eaten Wendigos. I know that sounds kind of nasty, but yeah, that's what happened. And even Wolverine has become a Wendigo only because he was beaten up by a Wendigo and actually clawed by a Wendigo. Nasty stuff. Alright, that's 7 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 6,431. Oh, I forgot about one more book. I'm sorry. And lastly is Batman #34. This, I don't know what this new story arc is, but what I can tell you is that the last story arc was called 0 Year, and it dealt with the Batman having to save the city of Gotham from the Riddler, who had taken it, who had pretty much enslaved everybody. And he went and he took care of business. Okay. Yes. Now, I'm sorry, guys. All right, now that's 7 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 6,431. there's some crazy stuff off in Avengers and XMen Axis, and I will definitely talk about this on next week's episode. And I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you're living with breast cancer, I just hope that these episodes that I'm doing are an inspiration to you. And I hope that the things I'm saying are an inspiration to you. And Devon Still and Leah Still, if you're watching this, I'm a man of my word, and I will do what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to buy the Devon Still replica Bengals jersey because I love children, and it kills me to see children, suffering like that or battling cancer. No child should have to go through that, and I just hope that by me doing that is going to help you. It's going to help Leah out and Devin out as well. Next week's episode, I'm going to be wearing a different tee and or polo, and hopefully, because like I said, I had family members who were diagnosed with breast cancer, and all three of them beat it. And I just hope that if you're watching this and you have breast cancer, I just hope this is an inspiration for you to know that you are going to beat it. You are going to make it. All right. Well, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. See you next week. Till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.